Welcome to Emily Kate Made This. I am Emily Kate and I'm coming to you from Berlin in Germany. So welcome back to any of my regular viewers and hello to all the new ones. Very exciting, had a bit of a flurry of new people. So welcome. I hope all of you enjoy. This episode is 2 finished objects, 1 work in progress, brain, and some sewing. Not really some sewing, some mending. So let's get to it. I already need tea. Elephant in the room, or shall I say bunny rabbit in the room, or shall I say 40 bunny rabbits in the room. Easter has come early. I have finished my Matulda sweater. I'm going to get close to you because it's beautiful. There are 40 individual rabbits, so that must mean about 80 carats. I really am quite warm, but you know, I had to wear it. I finished it yesterday, so it was washed and blocked and just about dry, unlike my hair, which is still wet. It is. Let's get to that. It's very warm. It might not last the whole episode. I made this using a free pattern and I mentioned it in my last episode, so if you want to check that you can, but I'm going to talk about it now. So it is a Corriedale yarn and I'm a little bit confused because apparently, according to the Etsy, it is 100 grams, 200 meters, sport weight, and I'm pretty sure that's more like an Aran weight. So I did do a test swatch. I think the recipe, the pattern called for 22 stitches, and every time I do a gauge swatch I get whatever the gauge is meant to be, and then when I knit the actual garment it comes out completely different size. So instead of, I think the recommended needle size was 3.25, I just automatically went up to 3.5. So I have got notes. I'm not doing a very good job. I didn't realise I was quite behind in my YouTube, and now I'm like, I must do a video, and yeah, I haven't really prepared. So let me get my notes. Okay, so yeah, the pattern's free, but it is for children, and it goes up to like aged 8 years old or something like that, and I wanted it in adult form. And last week I forgot the name, and I've still forgotten the name, but basically there's a sweater that everyone's talking about in the movie that has Jennifer Lawrence and Leonardo DiCaprio, and it's kind of yellow I think and has bright pink. Anyway, somebody put up a recipe that they used, so I borrowed her numbers for my size and then tried to merge it with the pattern for this one for the children and bring up the numbers. So I cast on 100 for the neckline, and I did a knit through the back loop and purl one around. Then I did some increases to make it 120 stitches, and I swapped to larger needles, and then I did some short rows on the back. Then I did the increases as and when necessary, and I ended up splitting for the sleeves. I hope much better than my last colourwork jumper. So the sleeves are not too high, not too low, and I'm not sure if this is of any interest to you guys, but if you do want some help with making this and making it a bit bigger, I can show you what I did, or I can show you the link to the jumper that I borrowed the numbers from. So I ended up going up to 3.75, and then at some point accidentally I had a 4mm on one side and 3.7 on the other of my interchangeable. So I just went with 4 for this colour work, and if you've watched my previous videos you'll know that my colour work history seems to be somewhat tight. Technically it's tight if you measure it with the measuring tape, but then when I've actually made things it doesn't look tight. I don't know. We'll get onto that in a minute. So the yarn I used is, I believe they're called Yarnhome, and I came across them because of the YouTube. Oh my goodness, how have I not prepared any of this? We Grow Wild, I think is her name. I'll put it here and I'll put her in the comments in the blah 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 down below. And yeah, she basically mentioned that she got some New Zealand yarn, and when I went on the Etsy store they had new Corriedale, so I got some Corriedale. It does say it's good for people who need their circulation boosted because it's quite scratchy, and when I was knitting it, it was nice and soft and lovely, and my swatch is nice and soft, but this is scratchy. It's not horribly scratchy, and I am also very warm, so it could be that too, but it's not soft, shall we say that. It's very rustic, and you can probably tell that anyway. I'm not sure if my camera will pick this up, but you can see all the hairs, and that's what's scratching me. And I've also made this jumper, and it's like 17-18 degrees outside, so when Easter actually comes it's probably going to be about 25 degrees and I won't be able to wear it, so so we wear it now. What else? Yes, the yarn. So this one, I think they actually sent me the wrong one because I ordered like a milky white, but I got the one that has grey in it. But I don't really mind. I do remember umming and ahhing, like which one should I put in my basket, which one should I buy, and then I decided. When it arrived I thought, pretty sure I didn't decide on that one, but I don't mind. The brown is a mix of Corriedale and cotton. It was very rough to work with. I think, yeah, I do have one left here. Not sure what I'll use it for. It's very, I don't think it's even softened up. Softened up a little bit. And the carrots were in a New Zealand lambswool. And again, that one says it's fingering weight, but in my opinion, going by the numbers, it looks more like a sport. But I just held them double because I assumed like it has to match, and this is apparently thicker, so I think it worked. So yeah, they're both lambswool from the same company. What did I do? I just kept going. I didn't do any decreases. I think I did, as a lie, I think I did about 8 stitches overall from here to the bottom to decrease because I wanted a loose fit, but now I look at it, I think I could probably have done even more, but I don't really mind. The sleeves, it's a combination of following the original pattern, following the borrowed pattern, and then looking at how much yarn I had left, and I genuinely, just looking for it now, there it is. I won against Yarn Chicken because they're 3/4 length sleeves, and just on the last sleeve, this is how much yarn I had left. I just about won at Yarn Chicken. So that was lucky. I also thought because it's spring, I don't need a full length jumper, like a full sleeved length jumper, and it's really warm, so I'm not even sure how much it'll get worn in spring. But hey, you can wear bunny rabbits all year round, I'm sure. What else? I did have a little bit of an issue with the hemline. When I finished it, it just insisted on staying like this. And when I blocked it, it still flopped over, even when it was wet. I'm not sure why. I know that technically stockinette can have the habit of folding up, but it's never happened to me before. So I'm not sure if it was the yarn or the way I was knitting. I don't know. Do you guys know? Tell me in the comments if you know. And I did, I think, 6 rows of the hem, 6 on the cuff and 6 on the neckline. So they're all even, and they're all knit through the back loop and purl on. And what else? Oh, I've got all these loose threads from my dress. Oh, which by the way, if you watched, I think again, my last, I'm wearing my spring dress with bees on. It's not ironed. I just adjusted the straps a little bit so it's been scrunched up and shoved under a sewing machine. But it's a lovely sunny day, so bumblebees are necessary. Anything else to say about this? I think that is everything to say about this one. Oh, except one thing. It seems like there's some puckering going on in this stockinette section, and I'm curious if you guys know why that might be. It did pucker a little bit, but I did go from 3.5 to 3.75, then 4, and then back to 3.5. And I don't think that it's really tight, like my floats. I'll try and insert a video somewhere of my floats, but I knit kind of a combination of both of the yarns in my left hand, or if there's just one, like random, say green stitch every now and again, I'll just throw with my right hand. And I don't pull at it. I always make sure that I spread my stitches out along as I go. Like, it doesn't look tight, and if you look at the back, they're loose but not, you can't catch your fingers in them. So yeah, I'm not really sure what the puckering's for, because it's been blocked, and I was kind of hoping that the blocking would get rid of that situation. So, any thoughts? Do tell. So another little tea break, and then I'll talk about my next finished object. Again, I do believe you saw these last episode, or at least a little bit of them. I haven't put them on sock blockers because my sock blockers are really stretching out my socks. Like, it looks really nice for the episode, but then I put them on and they're all loose. So I think I need to buy a new one that's actually for a size 37 European foot instead of 37 to 39, because it's stretching out to a 39 and I don't have that size foot. But aren't they adorable? So these are the they really don't look as good without sock blockers, but the Radishing, I think it's called, socks by Stone Knits. Yeah, they look a bit silly when they're not on sock blockers, but let's just focus on the adorableness. I did have a few blips with my tension. And again, when I swap between I do magic loop, and when I swap, it just gets a bit strained between the colour work. I did talk about it last time on my other socks as well. I'm not sure if it will show. Are you going to show? Yeah, like, I don't think it's tight, but it's also not too loose. But hey. So I do have 2 of them. And last time I knitted one of them, not sure which anymore, and I did the colour work, and I used, I like the way Andrew Mowry says like Lykke, but I think it's actually pronounced Lykke needles, L-Y-K-K-E, the driftwood needles. I got some 2.25 and 2.5 millimeters to do my colour work because I thought that would loosen up my stitches, which it does, FYI. And then last week I said I didn't realise at the time that if I then knitted the foot, it would also come out looser, which was kind of a lie because I just forgot that I always do 60 stitches. And in the pattern, you cast on a certain number, then you go and do some increases, you do your colour work, and then you decrease, and you end up at 64. So I did the whole foot in 64, and it was really baggy on me. Maybe not really baggy, but not fitted. It didn't fit, basically. And I thought I could give it to my mum, but then I don't think the colour work would fit around her foot and her heel, because I did like a smaller size. And so then I knitted the second one, realised, this only goes down to a 64. So when I got to the heel, I realised this, did 60 stitches, tried it on, Bob's your uncle, it fit. So I did the painstaking job of ripping out the entire foot, toe and foot to the heel, and re-knitted again. But now I have a pair of socks that fit. Let's turn that the right way around. And they're so cute, and they're such perfectly timed socks because it's spring, officially spring. So yeah, now I'm happy with my bunny rabbits and carrots and radishes. And yeah, happy days. I used Filcolana Arwetta Classic for all the colours except for the pink. And the pink is the Onion Knits sock yarn. It's nettle instead of polyamide. Polyamide. I do have some puckering. Again, I've blocked them. I'm just assuming that it is from the way that I kind of pull the yarn a little bit when I swap needles, because if you don't, you just get this big ladder. But the pulling does then pull your floats a bit. Didn't have that in this because I didn't use magic loop, but these seem to have that issue a little bit. But when they're on, it doesn't matter, it doesn't bother me. Also, I'm still learning. I've made, 3 pairs of colourwork socks, and I learn every time, so I don't mind. So happy with these babies. Was there anything else? No, I told you all about that. Then, another sock, another rabbit. I think I talked about these on my first episode, but it could have been my second. I made these socks. I've got so many rabbits happening now. And I had very mixed feelings about these. They are also by Stone Knits. They're also using a combination of the Onion Knits sock yarn and Filcolana Arwetta. These were my second attempt at colourwork socks, and I was using my right hand. I was an English style knitter, and I was using the small circulars, which are wonderful for not having the issue I just talked about, because you can just go round and round and round. But now that I use my left hand, I just can't hold the needle in the same way. I can't use them when I knit with my left hand, but I don't get the same pain as I do if I use my right hand. So it's just really not worth it. And these took so long. I started them over a year ago, and I got to the heel, I think, and I had to stop because of the pain. And then I tried to force myself to get through the colourwork section. I stopped early because it hurt too much and I just wanted them finished. But then I never wanted to start the second one because it just hurt too much. And now I just look at it and think, the toe looks awful. There's this section of flappy, weird, tensioned knitting, and there should have been another repeat, so it just looks silly. I don't like the heel. It's really loose. Like you can just see my hand through it if I put my hand in. So it's been abandoned. But then, inspiration struck. So I decided, now that I know that my Licker needles are helping with my tension, I've cast on for the second. So we've got this far. Then I swapped out and did an I've partridge heel. Then discovered you can't do the colour work if you do that heel, because the decreases would affect the colour work. So there is a reason for this fish lips kiss heel that's in this one and in the pattern, but I don't like it. So I've done my eye of partridge heel, and I'm now just doing plain blue all the way down so that I'll have a sock that fits and I will actually continue to knit on and finish. I'm getting very, very warm. I might have a pause, take off my jumper and then continue talking. And we're back. Okay, and apparently I didn't do an excellent job at getting these straps any tighter because they're still falling off. Back to the sock. So now I'm chugging away. I've gone down to 60 stitches and I will see how that works. This yarn is coming up a bit looser than when I knit with other ones, so probably could have done with 2mm needle, and definitely for the heel. I'm not sure what it is, but when I knit backwards and forwards on the heel, it is so loose. It must be the purling that changes my tension, but it's so loose. So I might have to do some duplicate stitching for the heel, and then eventually I will get some 2mm licker needles, and that will probably help the foot situation. And then when I have finished this singular sock, I will do the horrible job of ripping it all back, including the collar work, including the heel, and start again and repeat this. But then I'll have a pair of socks that not only doesn't murder my hands when I'm knitting, but a pair I can wear, and if we're lucky, a pair in time for Christmas. That would be not lucky. Easter. And again, I've got a very woolly jumper for Easter, very woolly socks, and it's probably going to be very warm, so let's see how that goes. But the mission is to finish these for Easter. So that is everything about them that I can say. Very much enjoying the licker needles. They are helping, I think, with my tension, because when I was using the Tiagus, which I usually use, I had to go up to 2.75 and then go back down to 2.5 and then back down to 2.25. So at least at the moment, yeah, I was going to say that I could just use 2 needles, but I actually need to get the 2mm to make it even smaller. So either way, I still need 3 pairs of needles for a sock, but hey ho. What else? Done that. Oh yes. So I think it was last episode I showed you a cactus sweater that I had started, and it was colourwork sweater, note the word was, and then I discovered that my basically I needed 26 stitches in 10 centimeters, 4 inches, and my swatch, I counted 28, my husband counted 26, we counted it several times. I decided to go with him and just go up a needle size for the colourwork. But then when I actually knitted it, I had like 32 stitches in 10 centimeters, which is insane. And so it was going to come out about 5 or 6 inches too small, which would mean it just wouldn't fit. It would be so small. So I thought about how I could go back a few rows and insert some like increases, but then that was going to knock out the chart so that all the cacti would then be off center. Like if there were 2 here and 1 here, then it would all be slightly off and it was just going to look weird. Yeah, it was all going to be lopsided, so I ripped it out. It was horrible. It was about 3 days of work on this fingering weight colourwork sweater using the woolly knit cones, and I just had to rip it out. It was getting me so stressed because I knew if I continued I would regret it, and I put more work into it and it would still be too small. And the last time I made a jumper, which is my fox jumper, into the wild jumper, my gauge was off and I continued, and the neck came out really weird and I had to do all this extra stuff, and I thought, let's just rip it out, start again. I'm going to go up a jumper size. I think the one I was going for was 36 inches, so I'll go up to 40 inch finished bust, and then I'll go up a bit of a needle size. I'm not sure what I used anymore, but if I use 3.25, maybe I'll go up to 3.75 and see how it looks, because I find that the woolly knits are really thin. The British wool combs, the yarn's really thin, and even though it's a 4-ply, it comes out thinner. And I was getting lots of gapping, and I am assuming it fluffs up a bit in the wash, but equally it's supposed to be like a spring summer jumper / t-shirt, so I guess it doesn't really matter if it's airy because it's not a long sleeved winter jumper. So I'll give it a go. We'll see what happens, and if it doesn't work then we'll scrap that and I will use the yarn for something else and see what happens with that one. I do have the Birkin sweater that I want to knit, but let's just battle one colourwork project jumper at a time. I did purchase a beautiful knitting pattern. I always get her name muddled up in my head because it's not really her name, it's like letters, but I'll put it here. It's so cute. I saw this on her Instagram, I don't know, a year ago I think. It's been a while in the making because it's her first, I think, kind of knitting pattern, and it's a fingering weight all over colourwork jumper, so it took a lot of calculations and ripping back and learning, so definitely worth the wait. It's so gorgeous. I really want to start, but I don't have the yarn, and I have enough yarn and enough knitting patterns that I don't need to buy the yarn now and start a fingering weight jumper for spring now, because by the time I finished it, it won't be spring. So I'm trying to enjoy the excitement of owning the pattern, but I will wait to cast it on and get the yarn because I haven't got any yet. And yeah, it's beautiful and you should check it out and you should buy it because it's beautiful. And what else? I also have some knitting plans, but I won't go into them all because I would be here forever. But some pretty imminent cast-ons. I suppose kind of boring. I don't know how much I'll show of them, but it's basically just some 6-ply socks for my husband and for my brother, because my brother, his birthday was in January, but after all the debacles of the post to and from to the UK and all the customs, it was just ridiculous. And to send a pair of socks that would cost so much money in customs, for even if it's a gift, it doesn't, the rage. Anyway, I'm going to knit them, and then whenever my mum visits, or when I go back to the UK to visit family in July, and for 2 weddings, important as well, I will bring them for his belated birthday gift. And my husband, his birthday's in April, so I think he deserves some more socks, so I will make some of them. And also I have some summer knitting plans, but I just don't know which one to start with, and I have 2 colours of We Are Knitters the cotton that I bought when I started knitting, because my first knitting pattern that I did as a garment, I'll put here, is the leaf top by the Knit Stitch, and that was really nice, and that was using white the cotton. And then I thought, oh, this is amazing, I need to buy all the yarn, and then I couldn't afford anything and I just had these 2 cottons, and I have 2 patterns that I'm thinking about, but I'm going to wait and then I'll show you if I cast one on. I'm hoping to cast one on, because I also have some vintage knitting patterns that I'd like to cast on, but I think I'm getting ahead of myself here because I am very much the person that enjoys the hand being held through a knitting pattern. I want to be told exactly, increase this many on this row this many times, and at the end you will have this. And then tell me every single time when I need to do something. And vintage knitting patterns are more casual, and they just say like, knit this and cast off that, but they don't say how many and what the numbers will be. And also it's knitted backwards and forwards, which I haven't done in ages. All of my original, like the first projects I did, were all flat, and yeah, I haven't done it in a while, and my knitting style has changed now, and my gauge was always spot on. Unintentionally, never checked it, but now I have checked them in hindsight, is that the word? They were all right, they were all okay, they were all correct. And yeah, now I knit with my left hand, my gauge just goes all over the show, and my purling goes all over the show. I don't think it looks bad when you see the knitting, but when you are trying to say, oh yes, when I do a gauge swatch I get 22 stitches, but when I'm actually knitting I get 32 or 28. Obviously I'm not knitting the same when I knit in magic loop in small circumference for my swatch as to when I make a whole sweater in, well, knitting in the round without having to move the needles. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. I don't know if I need to keep talking about that, but basically when I knit like this generally comes out tighter than when I knit as if that wasn't there and I just go round and round. But I can't do a test swatch or a test gauge for the size of a jumper, because then I might as well just knit the jumper. So yeah, I think I'm losing the brain power to keep talking. There's only one thing that I want to talk about and then I'm finishing, and that is mending, because I was so proud of myself that after about like 8 months or something, my husband's shorts, I finally fixed them. He had a big slash up the back of his shorts, and I just couldn't figure out how to fix them. And eventually I just decided I'm going to stick a patch on it. I was so proud of myself. I finally did it, and I mean, it looks obvious that there's a big patch on his bum, but he didn't mind and he could just wear them around the house. But it took him like 2 days, and now there's another big hole somehow. So I was so proud of myself. I did a patch here, and then I also did a patch on the inside to make sure it wouldn't go anywhere. And then now I have another one. I'm annoyed. I didn't do a fantastic job, I mean, look at it, but you know, I'm learning how to mend, but now I have to fix another hole. So I'm gonna have to do another patch. And there's another one growing up here somewhere. Yeah, one day I'll learn how to make him trousers and shorts, and then that'll be nice, wouldn't it? Do any of you guys have any patterns for male shorts? Because that could be fun. That'll be fun. Okay, let's stop because I'm just starting to waffle now. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. If you have any tips for my colour work that I showed you earlier, oh yeah, let me see if I can show you it. My camera's having indecision moments as if it wants to focus or not. Does that look too tight? I don't know if you can really tell. Yeah, you tell me. So yeah, thank you for watching. If you have any tips, do let me know. If you want to follow me on Instagram, I'm also Emily Kate Made This on there. And yeah, I will see you next time. Thank you.